This is TTT. Live for local.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. A supervisor attached to DG Homes was shot and killed at the Trinity Riverline Bar in Matura on Monday. The victim has been identified as Rondell, also known as Patch, of Northeastern Settlement in Sangre Grande. His death comes just days after his employer, businessman Danny Guerra, was gunned down outside his office along South Orapuch Road on March 13, 2026. Police sources say both men had previously been detained together under a preventative detention order. In a separate incident, a 34-year-old woman is currently warded with multiple gunshot injuries following a shooting in Gonzales on Monday night. The victim has been identified as Alana George of Bath Street, Port of Spain. Reports indicate that just after 9 p.m., George was along St. Andrews Lane when gunmen opened fire, striking her several times. A 7-year-old boy and a 38-year-old man who were nearby sustained minor injuries while attempting to flee the gunfire. George was rushed for medical treatment, however her condition remains unknown. To some other news now, more than 18,000 students are expected to sit the secondary entrance assessment on Thursday, and the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission is moving to ensure there are no power disruptions. TNTech says it will activate an additional hotline for school principals and supervisors to report any electricity outages or safety concerns at SCA centers. The hotline goes live from 8 a.m. on Wednesday and runs until 3 p.m. on exam day. Officials can call 794-4823 or 794-7264 for immediate assistance. The Commission's regular trouble lines 800 bulb and 800 TTEC will also remain available around the clock. TNTech has also confirmed there will be no planned power interruptions on exam day and extended best wishes to students sitting the assessment. In Tobago now, Secretary of Education Orlando Kerr and other officials hosted a press conference at the division's headquarters on Monday to update the public about the island's preparedness for the national exam. Secretary Kerr informed the media that secondary entrance assessment scripts were received and preparations are underway for the smooth execution of the examination on Thursday in Tobago.
Currently 1,005 students registered to sit the C exam in 2026 at 41 examination centers across Tobago. This year, there are 497 females and 508 males. 49 candidates are registered to write the C that will be housed at the Scarborough Secondary School. Those are the special private candidates. There are 49 of them. We have 20 students who have been granted special concessions. So far, we have 7 emergency approval.
In some sport now, on Monday, 2 3-member teams selected by the Tennis Association of Trinidad and Tobago departed for El Salvador, where they will compete at the 2026 ITF World Junior Tennis Pre-Qualifying event for the Central America and the Caribbean Games. Running from March 23rd to 30th, the tournament features the region's top under-14 male and female talents seeking to advance to the prestigious ITF World Junior Tennis Finals. On the girls' side, Makeda Bain, Suri Ramcharan and Samia Mohammed earn their places, while Josiah Hills, Justin Duncan and Eli Patty slot into the boys' team. Taking a look at the weather now, there'll be sunny and at times breezy conditions with a few showers during the afternoon. The odd shower may become moderate to heavy, especially over western areas. Seas are moderate with waves 1.5 to 2 meters. And that's what's making the news this morning. But joining us right now is Virmala Balkaran, the host of Trinidad and Tobago Today. Good morning, Virmala.
Good morning, Carrie. How are you on this fine Tuesday morning?
I know, right? I'm doing quite well so far. What about you?
I'm okay. I'm doing well. It is Tuesday, right?
It is Tuesday.
Yeah, you know, for some reason I felt like it was a short week, but it's actually not.
Yeah, it's actually not. We have the long weekend coming up with the Monday off, but we still need to trudge through this week.
Yeah, that's okay. You know, we're just looking forward to that silver lining.
We try.
What we're also looking forward to is SEA.
Well, I mean, some students may be looking forward to it. Some may be a little bit nervous.
Did you write SEA or common entrance? Come on, tell us.
Well, you see, what happened was I have a little bit of age, right? I wrote the last common entrance, actually.
Okay, Well, I wrote SEA.
Yeah,
One of the first few years of SEA.
Right. I'm in the old school. I wrote Common Entrance, when it was 4 subjects, and I think that was it, yeah.
But of course,
Math,
the preparations were so hard, just so much coming together. So a special hello to the parents this morning, the students getting ready for essay, the teachers, and everyone involved. It is definitely a group effort. It takes a village. It
definitely does. It definitely does. And the children coming up on Thursday, they may have a little bit of nerves, they may have a little bit of anxiety. So I hope the parents take that into stock as well, and give them a little ease up. Like what they did throughout the term is what will happen on the paper. So,
well, this month as well, Carrie, it is also World Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. And, just creating awareness, promoting education, advocacy, of course, creating funds for research, and so much work the associations have been doing in Trinidad and Tobago as well. So also a special good morning to them. And, it's a conversation we continue to have. Actually, today on Redefining Normal, Shamla Miraj will be discussing this and so much more on TNT Today.
All right, looking forward to it, Virmala.
All right, talk soon, Carrie.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
When we come back, the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show gets going after this break.
When it matters, we're there, reporting the news as it happens, because your world can't wait. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
You are dearer to me than all the stars. So many wish but never reach. 'Cause when I'm falling and all the world seems dark, you help me find my peace. Oh, shun mi ba vijani. Oh, shun mi ba.
The Mother Church of the Anglican Diocese suffered significant damage during the earthquake of 2018. Efforts are underway to raise funds to restore this national heritage site. You are invited to make your donations with monthly deposits at any branch of the First Citizens Bank, account number 2696950, Marval Road Branch, in the name of the Incorporated Trustees of the Anglican Holy Trinity Cathedral Restoration.
I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
This Wednesday on Woman Power Wednesday, we honor a woman whose voice helped shape the spiritual and cultural freedom of Trinidad and Tobago. Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, spiritual leader, community builder, and former senator who stood at the forefront of the fight for recognition of the Spiritual Shouter Baptist faith. Through her advocacy, March 30th became Spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day, a historical moment that honored generations who endured persecution for their faith. Her journey is one of courage, conviction, and unwavering service to her people. This Wednesday, discover the story of a woman whose leadership continues to inspire generations. Woman Power Wednesday, celebrating the strength, resilience, and legacy of our women. Only on TTT.
Wednesday, 24th March 2026. The time now, it is 6:09 a.m. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Virmala Balkaran, and welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today. Well, as usual, let's take a look now at what's trending this morning. The government has introduced an updated plan to repatriate Trinidad and Tobago nationals, mainly children and 25 women from the Middle East camps, with each returnee to undergo identity verification and individual risk assessments by security agencies. Well, adult returnees will be required to sign binding agreements to follow national laws with penalties for breaches, while children will be managed through rehabilitation-focused systems. The plan also includes structured mental health evaluations and support for reintegration with assistance from local agencies and international partners. And as you know, TNTech has activated an additional hotline ahead of the SEA exam on March 26th to ensure a stable electricity supply at examination centers. So, just a reminder that the hotline is available from 8 a.m. on March 25th until 3 p.m. on exam day. And this will allow the principals and the supervisors to report any outages or even any safety concerns, while standard emergency lines will remain in service. The Commission also confirmed that there will be no planned power interruptions and that teams, they will be on standby to respond quickly to any issues. Well, internationally now, Donald Trump says the U.S. and Iran have held talks on the complete and total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East. While writing on social media, the president says that he's postponed threatened strikes on Iranian power plants for 5 days. Oil and gas prices fall immediately. However, Iran's parliament speaker denies discussions have taken place, saying that fake news is being used to manipulate the oil markets. Speaking after his initial social media post, Trump says, well, Iran has one more chance at peace. These head-spinning developments highlight how truly fast-moving and unpredictable this entire war has become. On Saturday night, President Trump had given Iran a 48-hour deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, or he said the U.S. would obliterate Iranian power plants. Well, coming up after the break, an exclusive look inside the Couva Children's Hospital. After years of questions about its use, our reporter Nicole Dookie gets behind the doors to see what's happening now and show you, of course, and what the government says is being done to finally bring this facility fully operational. Where does the hospital really stand today? Well, stay with us, you'll find out. Grab your cup of coffee and settle in. Trinidad and Tobago Today has begun.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Greetings, hello to you there, and welcome to the CSIT National Secondary Schools Climate Quiz. I'm your host Sachin Ramsubag, and I am pleased to be part of this great initiative.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is still hope. When the weight feels heavy and the night feels long, remember, your story isn't over. God's promises are still true, His love is still strong, and your breakthrough is still coming. Join us for Messages of Hope, Words of Encouragement with Pastor Jesse, presented by Youth Fires. Hope lives here, only on TTT.
When it matters, we're there, reporting the news as it happens, because your world can't wait. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
For this exciting challenge and confident about your business? If you are, the 10-20 feature is just what you need. It's where you give your customers 10 reasons in 20 seconds why they should shop by you. This fun-filled feature will be captured, packaged, and aired on television and promoted on social media simultaneously. Small, medium, and large businesses call or WhatsApp 764-3378 or 313-4215. Let's feature your business. 10-20 with Junior K. It's affordable, effective, and fun.
Well, last week, our reporter Nicole Duki of TTT went behind the doors of the Couva Children's Hospital to take a look at what's happening and what's in the cards, what's in the future for that hospital. So let's take a look now at that report.
For more than 10 years, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago have been waiting for the Couva Children's Hospital to become fully operational. However, to date, this has not become a reality. When TTT News toured the hospital, empty and unused beds were seen in the pediatric wards. In the neonatal intensive care unit and pediatric ICU, there were no signs of life. Everything untouched, some still covered in plastic, according to Chief Executive Officer of the Southwest Regional Health Authority, Dr. Shivanan Gopisingh.
Couva Children's Hospital was made for children, and we have, as you see, the six-bed pediatric ICU. As you said, very modern, very state-of-the-art. We also have the NICU, the neonatal ICU, and with fully equipped, so that this hospital is prepared to treat neonatal problems as well as pediatric ICU when it's fully opened.
Built at a cost of approximately 1.6 billion TT dollars, the hospital was officially opened back in August 2015. It comes with 150 adult and 80 pediatric beds. Between 2020 and 2022, it was used to treat COVID-19 patients. On Sunday, 15th March 2026, Health Minister Dr. Lakram Bodo told the nation that there are many pieces of equipment at the hospital that are still waiting to be used.
There were 217 pieces of medical equipment that were never used. 217 pieces that were never used, a value of some $20,685,125. So that is equipment that would have been parked up at the Couva Hospital for some 10 years and was never used.
Following the general elections on April 28, 2025, the hospital was recommissioned as a specialist children's hospital with its first pediatric surgeries performed in November. Speaking at the recommissioning ceremony, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar said while it would cost $78.2 million for the full operationalization of the hospital, the activation will continue on a structured phased basis.
This hospital is now part of our national solution with respect to healthcare. On December 1, 2025, the first pediatric specialist clinic was held right here. Since then, children have received care in pediatric neurology, rheumatology, neonatal care, and endocrinology and pediatric cardiology.
Since then, specialized pediatric clinics have been held weekly. The SWRHA CEO explained some of the services currently being offered.
We have some of the specialized clinics, pediatric clinics, in terms of neurology and rheumatology. We are in the process of expanding these clinics, but we have just started opening these. As you can see, it's a very beautiful surrounding for children. You can't get a more beautiful hospital than this anywhere in the world.
The SWRHA CEO repeated statements made by the health minister that work is ongoing to repair some of the machines that have become non-functional during the time they were not in use.
Again, I don't want to preempt the minister, but we are in the process of trying to fix some of those equipment, machinery, especially the imaging machines.
Apart from services for children, the staff at the hospital were able to complete over 500 surgeries. Dr. Gopi Singh said these surgeries are part of efforts to clear the backlogs at the various regional health authorities.
We are using the hospital for doing day case surgery. We have done over 550 cases. The minister would have indicated that in a press conference recently, and we have knocked back a lot of the hernias and lumps and bumps that has been in this public system for a while. The minister has also indicated that we are in the process of doing endoscopies, as well as we are doing maneuvers to decrease the waiting time for cataract surgery.
The hospital also comes equipped with radiology, CT and MRI machines.
The machines, when fully functional, can do x-rays, still x-rays, can do imaging, fluoroscopies. There is a CT scan also. There is a 3 Tesla MRI for imaging that at its time was probably had the strongest magnetic field in imaging in the Western Hemisphere.
Once fully operational, the hospital will be able to facilitate major surgeries.
A big operating theater that was designed to do major joint replacement as well as open heart and bypass surgery.
Patients who are treated at the hospital are those who were recommended by the various regional health authorities. The in-house pharmacy is also opened to provide medicine for the hospital's patients. Nicole Dookie, TTT News.
Well, as we just saw, serious questions are once again being raised about the Couva Children's Hospital, more than a decade after it was built. So as you saw, a recent walkthrough by our news team has revealed unused beds, idle equipment, sections of the hospital that remain inactive, even as operations continue on a phased basis. Now, this is despite the facility was constructed at a cost of approximately $1.6 billion, as Nicole said, and recent efforts by the government to recommission it as a specialist children's hospital with services gradually being reintroduced. Well, she's here with us this morning in studio, our reporter Nicole Dookie. She was granted exclusive access inside the facility, taking a look at what's working, what's not, what still needs to be done. And she joins us once again this morning to share all of that. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning to you, Virmala. Good morning to the viewers on the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show. It's a pleasure to sit next to you this morning.
Yes, it definitely is. Yes. Nicole, Wow, what a tour. I mean, I wish I would have been able to do that.
You missed out.
Yeah, I definitely
on an amazing
did.
tour.
And that's something that we've been talking about for a very long time. What is happening with the Couva Children's Hospital?
Yes.
You know, when you go in there, what would you see? Empty walls, empty rooms, just bare walls. And you had the opportunity to do this walkthrough. What was the first thing you noticed when you went in there? And that's the first time you went into the
that was my very first time being at the Couva Children's Hospital. And of course, there's nothing like empty walls behind, empty anything. When we got in there, everything is fully finished. There were people there, actually, staff at the hospital that when you enter, you have, because they are running clinics at the hospital, you have to meet the receptionist and you have to meet doctors and you have to meet nurses. So there was activity. I mean, it's not like a busy day at a usual hospital because of the circumstances, but it was a normal day at the hospital.
Yeah. I know that the government is really trying to ensure that we use the Couva Children's Hospital for the reasons it was built for. Can you tell us what exactly did you learn will be done differently going forward now to ensure that this happens?
Yes. So this hospital, as you mentioned, it's specialized. Right now they're treating children with specialized cases. So, for example, if you have a child with a heart condition, they would recommend maybe from one of the RHAs, or even they don't really do it all the time, but I understand that sometimes they take recommendation from private institutions and they treat these children there at the hospital. So there is there's an entire facility set up to treat these patients, these children with special cases at the hospital.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the equipment now.
Yes.
I know that there were some reports stating that some equipment was sitting there for a number of years, and now that the government is trying to recommission this, obviously updates would have to be made to the equipment. What did you notice about that?
Yes. So, for example, in the neonatal ICU, when we got there, the incubators were brand new, never been touched. The cots where you normally, when after birth, you'll put the babies in, they're just lined up there, never been used. If you go into the pediatric ICU, 6 suites, the beds have never been touched. Nothing has been, it has been just there waiting to be used for the past more than 10 years?
Yeah. And now the government is also saying that the hospital is being rolled out in phases. Did you learn anything about the timelines of how things will be rolled out?
Well, at the moment, as of December, as you would have heard the Prime Minister said, at December 1st, they did their first surgery there. But at the most recent media conference with the minister, he said that over 500 surgeries were done at the hospital, and they were able to treat, numerous children who would have been passing through the hospital for various illnesses and stuff like that. But we also have to bear in mind, apart from the pediatric cases, they have been trying to clear the backlogs of same-day surgeries in the various RHAs. So every day there are surgeries scheduled there for persons who may have simple things to remove, like, lumps and deal with varicose veins and all those little minor issues that they've been doing. So they are busy in the theaters operating and dealing with persons who have to deal with same-day surgeries.
Yeah, I remember. And you said that the day that you were there were actual surgeries happening.
There were surgeries happening, and the staff were busy prepping patients. A few family members were outside, waiting on their relatives. Like I said, it wasn't crowded. It was very calm, very peaceful, because the hospital is not fully operational.
Yeah. I want you to clear up one thing for us. It's called the Couva Children's Hospital.
Yes.
I know that sign has been re-established as well, reverting to the original name as it was planned to be. But adults are also seen at this hospital.
Yes. And there are beds, when fully operational, there are beds for adults, and then there are beds for children, to be warded. So there will be adult wards, and there are children wards.
Yeah. Well, Nicole, before we wrap up, from everything that you saw and heard, give us the overall picture, the real progress that is happening to get this hospital to where it was originally intended to be.
Right. So during the tour, there's a joint operation with SWRHA, and UDCOT is still involved. And I had the opportunity to chat with officials from UDCOT, and I was asking them, so what would it take to get this hospital up and running? Do you have to be in there for more than 10 years? Do you have any major major issues to fix in terms of infrastructural and all those things. And they were like, no, we just have minor things that we need to address. Also, they are dealing with the machinery. And the problem with the machinery, though, is that after being there for more than 10 years, they would have lost warranty on some of these pieces of equipment. So therefore, they'll have to outsource companies or those who are qualified enough to service those that probably were not functioning because of the fact that they were down there doing nothing for more than 10 years.
Wow. Thank you very, very, very much, Nicole. You're always bringing us all the exclusives, and we can't wait to see what you have for us next.
Yes.
You know, hopefully we'll find out in the coming days.
Very soon you'll find out.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And of course, for all the things that you see here and more, and all Nicole's exclusives, you can check us out at TTT Live Online. Again, that's TTT Live Online. Well, when we come back, the show continues. We've got an SEA tip for you as we prepare for SEA coming up in just one day. Time's really flying by. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And if you're just joining us, welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
What, boy? The game showing clean, dog.
Hey, it's fast internet and best entertainment I paying for, you know.
Yeah, girl. You heard my good, eh?
Hey, the call not sticking. So why you taking so long to reply to your messages?
Hey, I get Wi-Fi quite out, eh? Yeah, boy, that's ampler. But what you doing outside? Come inside and lime now.
I come in there.
Wi-Fi so fast, you'll be saying,
hey, it's ampler.
When we decided to get married, and when we did eventually get married, my love for you had to evolve. Because now that we are living together, I had to learn how to love you. Because before I was in love with the Leah who I saw when we went on dates. The Leah who I saw when we spent weekends together. The Leah who I saw on the good times, the face of you. Now I had to love the you who I didn't see, the 80% of you that I wasn't accustomed to.
Right, the Leah having a bad day.
The Leah having a bad day. The Leah with a silk scarf on her head. The Leah who's not feeling well. The Leah who's emotional about something, who's upset about something. The Leah who's upset about work, who's insecure about something. All of those things do not come to play while we were dating.
Not really in its fullness.
Not in its fullness. So as soon as we took it to covenant, that is where the whole empathy and compassion side of things came for me. And it grew our love to the point where my love for you became, how could I evolve to help this relationship?
Right. So selfless.
Selfless. We start getting into the selfless love.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Your news, anytime, anywhere. Join us nightly at 7. TTT News. Committed, accurate, relevant.
SEA students, let's make math a little easier today for you. In this second installment of our SEA Tips series, we're focusing on one of the most important basics finding the mean. If averages ever confuse you, don't worry. We're going to be breaking it down step by step with a simple example, even one with a little twist you might see in your exam. Here's Nikisha Ramlal ready to show you just how easy it can be.
Back again with another question, and we are going to address finding the mean. Now, in case you didn't know, mean is when you add all the numbers and then divide by the amount of numbers there are. So let's look at this question. So we have a nice little chart here showing us Tanya scored a mean of 73 marks in 5 tests. If she scored twice as much in vocabulary as reading, complete the graph for vocabulary and reading. So here we have mathematics, 70, grammar, 65. You know, they like to put it just in the middle there, so pay attention to that. And we have spelling, 80 marks. We use what we have to get what we need. So we know that 70 add 65 add 80 is going to give us 215 marks. Now, in order to find out Tanya's total marks, we need to multiply the mean by the amount of subjects. And as they told us, 5 subjects. So 73 multiplied by 5 gives us 365. Now, when we take 215 away from the total marks, we get 150 marks. So we know that this 150 marks is vocabulary and reading, but it's an unequal sharing answer because they said that if she scored twice as much in vocabulary as reading, complete the graph. So once again, we pull out our box method, so we know that she scored twice as much in vocabulary as reading. So instead of dividing by 2, we divide by 3. And we know that 3 into 150 is 50. So then, in vocabulary, she would have gotten 50 multiplied by 2, 1, 2, which will give us 100. And of course, in reading, she would have gotten 50. So let's complete our graph. Vocabulary, I think 100 is all the way up here. And for reading, we have 50 here. And there you have it. Let's go over that one more time. Tanya scored a mean of 73 marks in 5 tests. If she scored twice as much in vocabulary as reading, complete the graph for vocabulary and reading. What do we have? Maths 70, grammar 65, spelling 80. We added all of those numbers to get 215. But the total marks will be the mean multiplied by the amount of subjects. 73 multiplied by 5 giving us 365. Now we're going to take away the subjects that we have from the total marks, which is 365 take away 215 giving us 150. Now this 150 marks has to be shared between vocabulary and reading, but vocabulary is twice as much as reading. So we have vocabulary being twice as much as reading. So instead of dividing by 2, we divide by 3. 3 into 150 is 50. So vocabulary would be 50 by 2, which is 100, and reading would be 50. And of course, we fill the T.
Just a little help with mean this morning. Thank you so much to Nikisha Ramlal. Your SEA tips part 2. Remember, you can find all of this on TTT Live online. If you have a story idea, a press release, anything you want to contribute to the show, all you have to do is email us at ttt.co.tt. Well, when we come back, we speak with Mr. Sanjay Mohammed, the newly elected president of the Pharmacy Board of Trinidad and Tobago, and more on Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Since 1962, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack, whether it's on your day off,
long drives, or house limes.
We are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity.
This isn't just radio, it's tradition.
It's memories.
It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
Hey, up for this exciting challenge and confident about your business? If you are, the 1020 feature is just what you need. It's where you give your customers 10 reasons in 20 seconds why they should shop by you. This fun-filled feature will be captured, packaged, and aired on television and promoted on social media simultaneously. Small, medium, and large businesses call or WhatsApp 764-3378 or 313-4215. Let's feature your business. 1020 with Junior K. It's affordable, effective, and fun.
Greetings, hello to you there, and welcome to the CZIT National Secondary Schools Climate Quiz. I'm your host, Sachin Ramsubag, and I am pleased to be part of this great initiative.
Well, right now we're turning our focus to leadership within the healthcare sector, specifically the Pharmacy Board of Trinidad and Tobago. And they have a newly elected executive team. In fact, this year's election recorded one of the largest voter turnouts, signaling perhaps renewed interest, maybe engagement within the profession. Well, at the helm is the newly elected president, Sanjay Mohammed, whose journey to this role is particularly inspiring. Well, good morning to you, Sanjay, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Virmala. Good morning to you as well, and Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I know you're probably just soaking it all up in a lot of paperwork and a lot of things to do. But of course, thank you for making the time to be here with us. Sanjay, I want to start with your journey. I know that you've described your journey goes from working as a young student to where you are now. When you reflect on that path and where you are today, how do you feel about that?
I feel somewhat relieved and happy to know that I'm able to grow into someone that can contribute to society. For me, I live by a couple of principles, one of which service to man is service to God. You know, throughout my life, I've seen that, especially now, what it means is that, you know, it's important to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. So if you want to see change, if you want to see things improve, sometimes you need to get up and get it done, you know, with your own self. So that's basically, you know, what I've been trying to live by. And one important thing that has helped to guide me is that you have to have ears, eyes, everything on the ground, boots on the ground. If you don't have that, you're not able to relate to people and actually identify that there's a problem.
Touch.
Yeah, correct. Because a lot of people sometimes, they are part of the problem and they don't even realize it. So the first step to solving a problem is actually identifying that, hey, listen, there is a problem.
Well, speaking of having a voice, this recent election actually saw one of the largest voter turnouts in years. So what do you think about that level of participation? What is it saying about the profession right now?
It tells me a couple things. One, the last 2 years would have been impactful. And two, pharmacists are energized. There are a lot of gaps in the profession and the wider healthcare sector in terms of where we are now and where we should be. And that alone, and given that over the last 2 years, and even a year before, members would have seen the potential of the pharmacy board to impact on public healthcare and the pharmacy profession. So I think that speaks volumes, and a lot of members now are willing to participate and be involved.
Do you think that there's a greater expectation in the executive to, effect some change, deliver meaningful change?
Yes, of course. If we were to quote Marshall's song and call, you're only as good as your last performance, right? But I think what we're looking at is not just topping the last 2 years, but really building on that and pushing the board forward where it should be. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my fellow executive, the Vice President, Mr. Jayakrishnan Srikumar, and the new Secretary Treasurer who took over my role, Mr. Shakil Katwaru. We also have the immediate past President, Mr. Ricardo Mohammed, on the council. One of the things that actually helped our team in being successful in the election was the fact that we're made up of so many dynamic individuals from a wide cross-section of the profession.
Yeah. Now, I want to start digging a little deeper into the problems that there were in the past.
Sure.
Concerns have been raised about the delays in licensing. What systems are being put in place, or what is your goal to put things in place to improve the turnaround times for pharmacists and businesses? And any plans for maybe some digitization of that process?
Yes, of course. That is actually something that we were quite successful at. We were able to improve the turnaround time for licenses to as little as maybe 15 minutes if both the president and the secretary is at the office. The system has been digitized, and now delayed licenses are a matter of the past. In terms of online transactions, our new term, one of the mandates that we would have been given, we campaigned on really pushing for online transactions so that eventually what we'd have is members of the public and pharmacists especially will be able to access services of the board through online portals. That's something we're looking forward to.
Sanjay, what are your other goals as you're stepping into this role now, to even reform or just build on what was there before?
That's a lot. Okay. But I'll just summarize it about a couple of points. One is that I spoke about gaps earlier. So part of the reason for the gaps has to do with legislation. So our approach over the next 2 years and over the last 2 years to engage key partners, stakeholders, medical board, Ministry of Health, Dental Council, Veterinary Association, all of these partners. We really want to identify the gaps and the challenges. Enforcement has been somewhat lacking over the last decade or more, and we really need to regulate and enforce fairly. In order to do that, the ears of our partners are important in working together collaboratively to put forward amendments. And we know recently with the new Minister of Health, he has expressed interest in listening to us and getting from us what we think the direction is that we want to go.
Yeah. Now, Sanjay, there's always some, worry that a lot of medication is not safe and not meeting the standards. Is there a system in place to ensure that the medication that we're getting, these things that are popping up these days, all of these drugs, they're meeting safety and regulatory requirements?
Yeah, so there are systems in place, and the public will know based on recent conversation, especially in the Public Administration Committee where they're reviewing procurement. There are a lot of issues with drug registration, and we have drugs coming into the country that are not registered, and the Pharmacy Board is looking at that with a keen eye. It doesn't fall directly under our purview because that falls within the remit of the Chemistry, Food and Drugs Division of the Ministry of Health. But what we're looking at is to advise members of the public that the legitimate source of medication is registered licensed pharmacies. We will do our part to ensure that pharmacies are regulated and that they provide only regulated medications that are approved and safe for public consumption. Beyond that, there are other establishments providing drugs that should not be providing these services, and we are also looking at these establishments now to advance enforcement on the statutes.
Yeah. Also, the public, have raised concerns about the cost and the availability of certain medications. Is there anything that the board will be doing, or from the board's perspective, what factors are influencing this and how can this be fixed?
So, this is a very sensitive topic. I will start by saying healthcare has a cost, from physician visit to pharmacies, and I know a lot of public comments in the past would have led that pharmacists make a lot of money. Actually, I think they are one of the lower paid professionals. So, contrary to what is put out there. But pharmacists are paid from the profits of the sale of drugs. The markups in the industry are relatively low, unlike food or clothing, that kind of stuff, because pharmacists understand that medications are expensive. So there's minimal markups in a lot of pharmacies. Drug pricing has a lot of factors, and many of them do not fall under the remit of the board. But we are looking at how we could regulate fairly, and we are looking at ways in which prices can be reduced at a national scale. Of course, to make recommendations to the relevant stakeholders. So that's something that we're looking at. There's not a lot that we could do to really regulate pricing because of the limitations on the law, but it's something that we're looking at to have conversations with the relevant parties to see what can be done to ease the burden of the public.
Just speaking about livelihood, the small pharmacies, are there any mechanisms in place to support and help the small pharmacies sustain themselves?
Yeah, so at this present time, no. It's it's a capitalist market. Mm-hmm. Each pharmacy has their own business model. Mm-hmm. What we are looking at the board, especially, and I mentioned, with free and fair regulation. The law needs to be applied uniformly across the sector. Mm-hmm. That itself would, I think, improve the economy of pharmacy overall. Once there's fair regulation, you would have a more level playing field for all pharmacies. The economics, in terms of dollars and cents, that's another point that we don't really get too much involved with it. But of course, we're there as a stakeholder in those discussions.
Everything you just talked about with the profession, just being one of the ones that are not paid as much in the field, but it's still a very rewarding profession.
Yes.
What would you say to younger pharmacists, maybe wanting to enter the field, or students wanting to enter the field, or just anyone thinking about becoming a pharmacist? What would you say to them?
I would say if you're doing it for money, don't. Do it for love of the profession, love of the patient, love of the public, serving the public. And that is the reward for many of us in the profession right now. The fact that we can make a difference in patients' lives. It's very challenging. Right now, the job market is not the greatest. But of course, with continued enforcement, we expect things to improve. So I would say to young pharmacists, get involved. Even succession planning is something very important. I personally don't see the reason why someone should serve as president more than once, because there are so many young, talented pharmacists who have the opportunity to serve, and we get a dynamic, a different approach. We could benefit from the diversity within the profession. So by all means, young pharmacists, get involved. The profession is a lovely, rewarding profession, as you said. We just need to work at it. Nothing comes easy. The opportunities, you have to take it and make the best of it.
Yeah, definitely rewarding. You know, some people just come to their pharmacist and say, "Pharmacist, can you help me feel better? You know, I just have this cold or this cough or something like that, or you know, just little rash." Anything that you would go to a neighborhood pharmacist for, and at the end of the day, they're part of your household sometimes. And you think of them as part of your family. Sanjay, looking ahead, what would you like your legacy to be at the end of your term as president?
So I've thought a lot about that. Being a first-time president, you have to kind of define the role with your own ambitions and so on. I want to really make sure that we create the atmosphere for succession planning so that we have younger pharmacists involved and a wider leadership pool. That's one thing I would look at. The second thing is we sort of reinventing the wheel with Pharmacy Board. So over the next 2 years, I'd like that wheel to be able to drive on all terrain, so that regardless of whoever is elected, you have a board and a structure that can carry out its core functions unhindered by politics. And that is very important because the board cannot stop functioning, and we need to make sure that we set it up in a manner that it continues regardless of different persons being involved with different agendas. As sometimes, we tend to lose sight of the important things, and you've seen in the past things like certificates being delayed and whatnot. Those are things that should not be happening, So that my legacy really, I would like to focus on those key principles: succession planning and making a well-oiled machine so that it can continue to withstand the forces in years to come.
And before we wrap up, what's in the immediate future for the executive to put in place, or things that they're working on, you all are working on now that you've just come in?
Right, so we're looking at, over the last 2 years, we implemented policies. We're looking to build on those, develop standard operating procedures, standard formats, and really we have a high legislative agenda right now. So we have committees working on reviewing the existing legislation so that we could actually propose amendments. But of course, we'll have to have stakeholder consultation, public consultation, and those. I look forward to those things. Anticipate those consultations, because they will actually inform our policies and the decisions that we take going forward, and the recommendations that we make to the Ministry of Health, who is our line ministry.
All right, Sanjay, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Congrats again. All the best to you and your executive going forward. The time now just about 4 minutes before 7 o'clock. That was Sanjay Mohammed, the newly elected president of the Pharmacy Board of Trinidad and Tobago. When we come back inside the next hour, we continue talking about success in the medical field in Trinidad and Tobago. Some really cool achievements for one of our very own doctors in urology. And we've got the major network news coming up next at the top of the hour. Also, our social media channels are always live for you. All you have to do is follow us there for all the updates, everything taking place on TTT. And for everything that you see here, TTT Live Online, our email address, ttt@ttt.co.tt. Carrie's up next with the news.
The microphones are down and the boots are laced up. This Good Friday, the top media houses of Trinidad and Tobago are stepping off the air and onto the field. Get ready for the Intermedia Football Cup 2026. Come out and rep your favorite media personalities as they clash for football glory and bragging rights. The best part? It's free. So bring the family, bring your coolers, and don't forget your vibe. Friday, April 3rd, Police Barracks, St. James. It's football, energy, and excitement. Kickoff at 11 a.m. The Intermedia Football Cup 2026, powered by TTT Limited. For more information, like, love, follow us on social media at TTT Live Online. No glass bottles allowed. Intermedia Football Cup 2026.
The TTT Intermedia Football Cup 2026, sponsored by Digicel, Sunshine Snacks, Blue Waters, and Stamina Energy.
From all over Trinidad and Tobago. Anil wrapping roti at lightning fast speed.
Sandra nailing every order in her hardware.
Lisa, who is in sync with style. There is no buffering at her boutique.
And Dr. Alex filling prescriptions with care. They're all part of the 5,000 strong businesses connected and growing with reliable, high-speed service from Amplia.
Now it's your turn.
Because with Amplia,
you're in good company. Amplia Business.
When we decided to get married, and when we did eventually get married, my love for you had to evolve. Because now that we are living together, I had to learn how to love you. Because before I was in love with the Leah who I saw when we went on dates. The Leah who I saw when we spent weekends together. The Leah who I saw on the good times, the face of you. Now I had to love the you who I didn't see, the 80% of you that I wasn't accustomed to.
Right, the Leah having a bad day.
The Leah having a bad day. The Leah with a silk scarf on her head. The Leah who's not feeling well. The Leah who's emotional about something, who's upset about something. The Leah who's upset about work, who's insecure about something. All of those things do not come to play while we were dating.
Not really in its fullness.
Not in its fullness. So as soon as we took it to covenant, that is where the whole empathy and compassion side of things came for me. And it grew our love to the point where my love for you became, how could I evolve to help this relationship?
Right. So selfless.
Selfless. We start getting into the selfless love.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. Cultural shifts are needed towards skills training. Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training Professor Prakash Prasad said this is especially important for the advancement of education in the region. Professor Prasad was delivering the keynote address as CARICOM advances the development of a framework for micro-credentials under the Caribbean Region Registry Roadmap.
As a cultural thing, we need to look at this in the Caribbean, that, hierarchy is still very important. All jobs are important. All jobs are important. And therefore, we should have that cultural change. So part of making micro-credential important and acceptable, and especially with regard to skills training, we need to know and put this education out there that it is important, just as important.
Micro-credentials are short, focused, and often digital certifications that validate proficiency in a specific skill or competency. The proposed framework aims to create a cohesive, inclusive, and transformational response to learning at the tertiary level. Professor Prasad noted that the cultural mental shift towards skills training is essential if Caribbean education systems are to remain relevant and future-ready.
See, for too long, we have this idea that young people, they have to give up their lives to go to university for 3 and 4 years, study day and night to get a degree. So in effect, you reduce your living. Micro-credentials allows you to live with your family, have, in other words, in a broad way, education and living balance, life balance, and education balance. This is what we need.
The Commonwealth of Learning, in partnership with CARICOM and hosted by the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training in Trinidad and Tobago, will host discussions over the next 2 days to finalize the framework. In other news, the government of Trinidad and Tobago is reaffirming that the nation remains open for business. This comes as the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association hosted an inward trade mission on Monday, welcoming delegates from Martinique, Guadeloupe, and French Guiana. The TTMA's Doing Business in TNT seminar is focused on deepening economic and cultural connections between Trinidad and Tobago and the French Caribbean. Acting Director of Trade Facilitation at the Ministry of Trade, Investment and Tourism, Neville Alexander, emphasized that building strong and dependable trade partnerships is critical to the country's ongoing development and economic diversification.
Also want to encourage
deeper collaboration in services, particularly tourism services. Travel between Trinidad and the islands, such as Martinique, for instance, has been growing. There's our desire to further deepen our engagement in these areas as we seek to develop niches such as yachting, medical, sport, business, and ecotourism areas as potential drivers for the services sector ourselves.
President of TTMA, Dale Parson, emphasized the importance of creating opportunities for entrepreneurs and strengthening support for small and medium-sized enterprises.
To empower SMEs, let us focus on the backbone of our economies, small and medium enterprises, by facilitating partnerships and reducing barriers for entrepreneurs. We can create meaningful economic participation.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service carried out a major anti-crime exercise in the southwest, leading to multiple arrests and the seizure of illegal firearms and ammunition. The operation, dubbed Operation Chopper, occurred over the weekend across the Point Fortin and Guapo districts. Acting under emergency powers regulations, officers conducted targeted searches at several locations linked to persons of interest. Police seized a shotgun, 7 12-gauge cartridges, and 2 rounds of 9mm ammunition. 2 people were arrested for firearm and ammunition possession, while a third was held for ammunition offences. In some sport now, the West Indies women's cricket team has been fined following their T20 international opener against Australia in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday. Captain Hayley Matthews and her side were docked 10% of their match fees after finishing 2 overs short of the required over rate. Match referee Rion King ruled the side fell 2 overs short of their target even after time allowances, triggering an ICC Code of Conduct sanction that cost players 5% of their match fee per over. The result, a 10% fine across the squad. Captain Hayley Matthews accepted responsibility and pleaded guilty to the charge, avoiding a formal hearing. The offence was brought on by field umpires Lauren Agenbag and Jacqueline Williams, third umpire Candice Laborde, and fourth umpire Maria Abbott. In the weather forecast now, there will be sunny and at times breezy conditions with a few showers during the afternoon. The odd shower may become moderate to heavy, especially over western areas. Seas are moderate with waves 1.5 to 2 meters in open waters and up to 1 meter in sheltered areas. And that's what's making the news at this time, but after the break, we return to Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Since 1962, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack, whether it's on your day off,
long drives, or house limes.
We are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity.
This isn't just radio, it's tradition.
It's memories.
It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
You know, as we grew as a couple, learning to love me, and not just learning to love me, but loving me in the way I want to be loved and I need to be loved.
Right.
What does that look like?
Right.
You know, what are my needs? And, you know, are you loving me right? Meaning that in a way that
that works for you.
That works for me, that,
yes.
that satisfies my needs
yes.
as your wife.
Yes.
You know, and I think we've had conversations and we've, you know, obviously over time been able to vocalize those needs. And I think that's very important, understanding what your partner's needs are as you evolve.
Right.
And as you grow, because as I said, as you move through different stages, you change, you
Every
evolve.
season of life, you change and you have to evolve with it. In some cases, you have to evolve ahead of the curve.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
This Wednesday, on Woman Power Wednesday, we honor a woman whose voice helped shape the spiritual and cultural freedom of Trinidad and Tobago, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, spiritual leader, community builder, and former senator who stood at the forefront of the fight for recognition of the Spiritual Shouter Baptist faith. Through her advocacy, March 30th became Spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day, a historical moment that honored generations who endured persecution for their faith. Her journey is one of courage, conviction, and unwavering service to her people. This Wednesday, discover the story of a woman whose leadership continues to inspire generations. Woman Power Wednesday, celebrating the strength, resilience, and legacy of our women. Only on TTT.
After 7 o'clock. Good morning and welcome back to TNT Today. Well, now we're celebrating a moment of excellence that is not only personal, but absolutely national. A Trinidad and Tobago urologist has made history on the international stage, earning the prestigious Joint Surgical Colleges Medal, awarded to the candidate who receives the highest score in the FRCS Urology Section 2 exam. Acting consultant urologist at the Port of Spain General Hospital, Director of the Northwest Doctors Association and Medical Director of TriCare Medical Center, Dr. Shiraz Mohammed is now the only candidate from the Caribbean to ever receive this honor, placing Trinidad and Tobago firmly on the global surgical map. A powerful reminder of the level of talent and dedication that exists right here at home and the impact our professionals are making worldwide. I'll also add on a personal note, it's especially heartwarming for me to have known Dr. Mohammed from a very young age and also to see him achieving this at this level. Good morning, Dr. Mohammed.
Good morning, and you calling me Dr. Mohammed.
Yes, also we grew up together and he is my personal doctor and I'm very, 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 very proud of you. You've always been working extremely hard.
I thank you very much.
Yeah.
But I would like to also take this opportunity to tell you how proud I am of you and where you've come from and where we've grown. And I thought it would be only fitting to say this on national TV, that I am proud of you. I think the entire of our little community, John Peter Road, is proud of you. We've come far together. And I'd like to say, though the stream flows far, it doesn't forget the source. Oh. So on that note, good morning, John Peter Road.
Good morning.
Good morning to all the aunties and uncles that grew us up. Look at us now.
Yeah, look at us now. I'm so proud of you, Shiraz. You were a scholarship winner. You have really worked through so many challenges in life as well to get to where you are today. Without getting into that emotional bit, because I know it's a lot. You were always destined for greatness, and now look at where you are. But I want you to tell us what exactly inspired you to study medicine, and specifically urology.
Okay, so the journey to medicine, I could give you the cliche answer. I always wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
That would be a lie. In high school, I did not think much of myself in terms of academic aspirations. I actually wanted to start to work, do my degree part-time, but I wouldn't say I'm a religious person. I wasn't a religious person back then, but I took that to God in the sense that I prayed about it. And what happened to me, my personal friends, you yourself would know, it triggered a sequence of events that I think led me on the path that I am on today. So, yeah, I would say it was one, divine inspired. I'm here to do God's work. I'm here to do and give back the gifts that He has given me to the good people of Trinidad and Tobago and the world. And urology specifically, I have to thank one Mr. Joel DeGans, because I actually wanted to do internal medicine. And me and him are close friends. He's like a brother to me. We've been studying for this exam together. And when I was deciding on my specialty training pathway, he was very interested in urology. I wanted to do medicine. He was like, "You're not an internist. You don't have that internist persona.
Yeah.
You're a surgeon. So I was like, all right, if you say so. He was like, just come now, we go Lime. So that's how I actually started my training in urology, but I got to love it because urology is a very dynamic field in the sense that you can have open surgery, you could have endoscopic surgery. So you get to play with a lot of cool toys and you get to have that open surgery aspect of things. So for me, it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to develop in Trinidad and Tobago and now internationally as well.
So tell us about this exam, the FRCS Urology Section 2 exam. How significant is it and what does it take to perform at this level?
So the FRCS Urology is the exit exam for the UK. So it represents the final exam that candidates sit before they're certified as a D1 consultant in the United Kingdom. So for me, I did that exam from Trinidad and Tobago. There were a couple of reasons for that, because the typical pathway is that candidates will go abroad, they will spend some time in the UK, they would learn their systems, and then they would come back. They would write the exams and then come back here. That's how it's done. Me, while I was studying for this exam, I became a father, I got married. A lot of things sunk my roots deeper into Trinidad and Tobago. I had to make a decision whether I was going to leave my family, my child, miss out a lot of those milestone moments, go and train, and then come back. And the answer was simple for me. That's a no. I am not going to give up that. So I had to figure out specifically how am I going to get that level of training and expertise from Trinidad and Tobago. And what ensued was a lot of travel, a lot of travel. I began knocking on doors. I began liaising and building bridges from Trinidad. We're in a world that globalization and technology allows us to be present everywhere. So by knocking on doors, I was able to build partnerships, get training, fly up, do training, meet people, learn systems, and bring it back home. Yeah. So a little bit of best of both worlds.
And now you're making history as being the only Caribbean national to receive this honor. So what does that mean to you and for urology in the Caribbean?
Oh, it's a lot. It's a great achievement. I wouldn't lie to tell you that I prayed about this. I said, God, make me the best. Yeah. And this stands as testimony so that greatness could be done from Trinidad and Tobago. We have so much potential here, so much untapped potential. And I think we need to foster that in our youth. We need to show them. We need to be beacons. We need to be examples. And this is just showing all of the young trainees out there, greatness could come from right at home.
So, Shiraz, your journey required a lot of discipline and sacrifice. And if it's one thing we know about you from being in the inner circle is that you are extremely focused on something. For those of you who don't know, he's also a farmer. So he's picked that up as well. And I forgot to add that to your list of titles. But throughout all of this, what would you say, or who would you say played a role in supporting you throughout your journey? I know your parents are a big part of this as well.
Of course. But first, as with everything in my life, God. I take all decisions, I take all guidance, and there's the Paulo Coelho book, The Alchemist. Trust the omens. I always tell my juniors, trust the omens. Sometimes things happen in your life, you're guided in directions that really might not be initially what you want, but retrospectively, I could look back and see how I was guided and ushered to where I am today. So I always give thanks and praise to God the Almighty first. Then we come down. My parents have been supportive. My in-laws have been supportive. They've been like second parents to me. My wife, she has carried burdens while I went away training.
She's also a doctor.
She's a pediatrician, yes. Yeah. Yes, she is. And so she understands the rigors of it, but that doesn't make it easier. While she's a pediatrician, she's also a mother, she's a wife, she has to balance all the other things. So I thank her for that.
Yeah.
And especially professionally, I have to give credit to my mentor, Mr. Hassan Khan. He took me from a young surgeon and basically groomed me, brought me up to the level where I am today. He himself is a prodigy of one of the great urologists, Mr. Lal Sao. And he was basically Mr. Sal's prodigy. And now I am
a
product of that legacy. So, good morning, Mr. Khan. I can't thank you enough for the support you've given me. And the rest of people involved, I don't think we have enough time here to go through all of that. Maybe on the second time.
Maybe the second time. Well, Shiraz, how do you see this achievement really impacting your work here with your patients in Trinidad and Tobago and the care you provide for them?
Right. So this is where things get very interesting, because from training in the UK, from seeing what we have here, there are simple fixes. So there are quick fixes that we could implement that would improve the quality of care, the efficiency of care, the cost of care, that we could implement into our sector, into our public and private sector, that will not only enhance the patient experience, but it will also bring more evidence base, improve clinical outcomes. So those are the things that you want to apply. So my aim is to take that knowledge, bring it back here, work with partners. So at the Northwest Regional Health Authority, they've been very open to discussions into how can we improve, what can be done. So I'm looking forward to continued partnership with the RHA, bringing in systems in place, how we can make the process more efficient, focus more on the patient, cut the wastage of cost. Because as you know, we're in an economy now where cost is a big factor. So discussions will be had. I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a lot of those discussions. I look forward to having those discussions with the up tops.
A lot of your work as well focuses on men's health, and you've always been very passionate about that. Tell us about that.
So men's health, that's my baby.
Yeah.
Because I believe in our society now we need more men. And the term men is thrown around loosely, because I think what people see as a man isn't really what it should be. A man is somebody that needs to be steadfast in values. He needs to be God-fearing. He needs to be a beacon. He needs to be a guidance. He needs to be light. But too much men are finding the easy way out. It's a heavy mantle to carry. I always tell my wife, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And it's a big responsibility, so it's mental health. It's taking care of your mental health. It's taking care of your physical health. How am I supposed to take care of my family if mentally I'm not in the right headspace? Physically, I can't run after my child.
Yes.
Emotionally, I'm not receptive to what my family needs. So it's
a holistic approach to mental health. But on the physical note, you've also advocated for men to continue to take care of yourself. You know, always do your checkups, your screenings, and all of that. What would you say to men who are always nervous about going to the doctor, not just figuring out what's happening with me?
Yeah. So I would say that is something that needs to be revisited. That stigma that going to the doctor makes you less of a man, because you might find out that, okay, I have an issue and I'm fragile. That is something that we have to come to reality with, because all you need to do is sit down, look at your family, look at the people around you, and understand that in order for me to do my job as a father, as a husband, as a man in society, I need to be the best version of myself. So to be the best version of yourself, you need to be healthy. You need to be able to run, jump, hop, skip, run into the burning buildings. That's what you need to do.
Shiraz, for young professionals who may be watching this morning, you know, those ones coming from humble beginnings like we have as well, specifically you, what message would you share to them, especially if they want to enter a field like yours?
Any field, put God first. Once you do that and you pattern your life around, okay, this is me being grateful and thankful to God Almighty, then everything will fall into place. You have to build systems. That's the only way that I am able to function, balance, and all the things that I do. You build systems, you put things in place that you can move forward. Yeah?
Yeah. And my final question for you is, after such a major international achievement, what's next for you, Dr. Shiraz Mohammed?
Well, straight off the graduation, receiving the medal, I went to a urology conference in London. I've built some good connections there, networked. So there's a lot of technology I want to bring back. There's a lot of procedures, protocols I want to implement. There's a lot of mentoring I want to do, because I have a lot of juniors who are up and coming that in the field, I want them to be better than me. I always tell my juniors, catch me if you can. This job, this seat where I am now, it's yours. Come and take it.
Great way to end this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed. Congratulations to you once again, making history for the Caribbean, and for yourself and for your family. So we look forward to seeing great things from you and what you're going to do continue doing for urology, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean as well.
I appreciate that.
All right, the time now, just about 7:23 a.m. on Trinidad and Tobago today. Remember, our email address if you want to get in touch with us, that's ttt@ttt.co.tt. Our social media channels are on the screen for you. Follow us at TTT Live Online. For all the stories that you see here and more, you can access it later on today at TTT Live Online and at TNT Today Show. The show continues when we come back.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
From all over Trinidad and Tobago, Anil wrapping roti at lightning fast speed.
Sandra nailing every order in her hardware.
Lisa, who is in sync with style. There is no buffering at her boutique.
And Dr. Alex filling prescriptions with care. They're all part of the 5,000 strong businesses connected and growing with reliable, high-speed service from Amplia.
Now it's your turn.
Because with Amplia,
you're in good company. Amplia Business.
Every morning begins with a story, the headlines you need, the voices you trust, the conversations shaping our nation. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today, where your day starts informed and inspired. News that matters to you, conversations that spark new ideas, stories that move Trinidad and Tobago forward. Tune in weekdays, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. or join the conversation on any smart device at TNT Today Show. Trinidad and Tobago Today. Start here, exclusively on TTT.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is still hope. When the weight feels heavy and the night feels long, remember, your story isn't over. God's promises are still true. His love is still strong. And your breakthrough is still coming. Join us for Messages of Hope, Words of Encouragement with Pastor Jesse. Presented by Youth Fires. Hope lives here. Only on TTT.
Unleash your imagination with TTT's Terrific Toon Time. Join us as we stop evil geniuses from taking over the world on Super Z, or hop on board for a journey into outer space with Galaxy Kids. Be a part of our quest to save the forest alongside our robot pals from Bugspot Ignition. Or let's go exploring with Duda and Dada. It's fun-filled adventure with Terrific Toon Time right here on TTT.
Some regional and international news for you this morning, starting with a Venezuelan national identified by Guyanese authorities as the main suspect in an October 2025 bomb attack that killed a 6-year-old child, told a court on Monday that he acted alone and that his co-accused were not involved. 33-year-old Daniel Alexander Ramirez Podemo made the admission as acting Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty was preparing to begin paper committal proceedings in the terrorism case at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. Well, he also asserted that the other individuals charged in connection with the incident are innocent and should be freed. Authorities also believe that Ramirez Podemo is linked to the Venezuelan Sindicato gang and entered Guyana illegally by boat shortly before the attack. Well, continuing now across the region, at least 66 people have been killed and dozens injured after a Colombian Air Force plane crashed shortly after takeoff in the south of the country. The Air Force commander said 114 Army personnel and 11 crew members were on board the U.S.-made C-130 Hercules transport aircraft. The plane went down near the Peru border, and emergency crews have been searching for the wreckage for the survivors. Defense Minister Pedro Sanchez described the incident as a tragic accident, adding that ammunition on board detonated following a fire. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. And moving on now internationally, the White House says plans for possible talks with Iran remain fluid, warning that any speculation should not be considered final. This follows conflicting accounts from U.S. Presidents Donald Trump and Iran's parliament speaker on whether discussions are actually taking place. Trump said he had postponed planned strikes on Iranian power plants after what he described as productive conversations with Tehran. However, Iran has dismissed those claims as fake news. An Iranian foreign ministry official says Tehran has received proposals from the United States through mediators which could lead to talks. Meanwhile, oil prices have climbed back above $100 a barrel after briefly falling earlier this week amid reports of possible negotiations. Well, it is time now to move on with the show on Trinidad and Tobago today. And if you're looking for something exciting this Easter weekend, TNT is set to take the center stage in the regional sporting arena. From April 3rd to the 5th, the country will host the 2026 Easter International Cycling Grand Prix alongside the Caribbean Cycling Championships, bringing together top cyclists from across the region and beyond. Well, the event will take place at the National Cycling Velodrome in Cuba and Skinner Park in San Fernando and is expected to deliver not only high-level competition, but also a boost to sport, tourism, and community engagement. Well, we're joined this morning by President of the Trinidad and Tobago Cycling Federation, Rowena Williams. Good morning, Rowena.
Good morning.
Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago today.
Thank you very much.
Well, Easter weekend is fast approaching.
Very fast and very exciting.
Yes, I know you have a lot of work to do. The big picture, we're talking about the Easter International Cycling Grand Prix.
One of our premier events on our calendar. People look forward to it on a yearly basis, so we do not want to disappoint, and we will not disappoint. Our cyclists definitely are excited to put their bikes on the line, give a good showing. So we want to just encourage people to come out and support them. The little ones, the young children, they're so excited to be, hosted. They're so excited to come out and showcase what their talent is. They get so excited. So, you want to come out and really, really support the young ones. The ages are from 5 to 70.
70?
70 plus riders.
Wait,
also.
You said 5?
5 years.
Okay.
5
and they're
years.
riding?
And they're all riding.
Because
we do have one from 4 years.
I don't think I could. I was riding a bike when I was 5 years old.
Yes.
That is quite impressive.
Yes, the young ones, they love to ride. Of course, we know the first thing a parent will buy for their child for Christmas is a bike. Yeah. So, when they get on that bike, they don't want to stop riding.
Marina, I would have been there on training wheels.
Yeah,
if it had to be me, I would be cycling.
We all start off that way and then we graduate.
No, I would be trying to compete in training wheels. I honestly would. And that's not allowed.
That's okay. We allow all of that.
Well, you see.
And we also encourage persons to get on the bike just to keep fit.
Okay.
You know, healthy lifestyle is what we promote also. It's not just about competition.
Yes.
Cycling is not just about competition. You would find that when persons go and they seek medical attention for some sort of injury to probably their knees or so, the first thing a doctor would say, you probably need to ride or get on a bike, do some physical work. So, you know, you want to maintain that healthy lifestyle, and what better to do it on a bike?
Tell us about the event. What can we expect for those of us who may not be familiar with this event?
So, okay, the Easter International Grand Prix, it's one of the premier events, as I said, on our international calendar. Now we are going to be hosting the Caribbean Track Cycling Championships alongside the Easter Grand Prix, as well as the first time we are hosting the America's Track Cup Series for the Americas, for the Pan American region. And this is a new series that the UCI, the international body, would have approved for the Pan American region, giving more opportunities for our regional cyclists to gain international ranking points towards Olympic qualifiers. So it's an opportunity where the regional cyclists not able to travel as far as Europe to gain points can come right here in the region, right here in Trinidad and Tobago, and gain those points. So it's quite an exciting time, quite an opportunity given to our own athletes here in Trinidad that they don't have to travel far to gain those international ranking points. And so we see it as a great benefit, not only for our cyclists, but for Trinidad and Tobago to also see the talent that is there in our country for our cyclists here.
We have participants coming from other countries as well.
Yes, so we have, so far we have cyclists from Sweden registered, the United States, we have Mexico, Jamaica, Suriname, Guyana, Barbados.
So this is also a really great opportunity for sport tourism as we're hosting something, so grand.
Correct. And we want to continue to work with the government and the tourism sector to boost tourism in Trinidad and Tobago, and how best to do it, but through sport. We see it all the time that sport can deliver, but we also have to invest into it.
Yeah.
And investing into it is important, investing into what can change the societal behaviors of our young people. Cycling, we believe, is one of those opportunities. We have seen that we have produced top-class cyclists. I mean, if we just look at one cyclist, Nicholas Paul, who would have held a world record here in Trinidad, he came out of just riding a small BMX bike at Skinner Park.
Wow.
And this is where he's at. So that can tell you that we have the talent here. We just have to invest.
Yeah, so looking at that kind of talent coming out of Trinidad and Tobago, how do you think we can push cycling a little bit more, make it more, accessible to people, or include more people in the sport?
So, for the event, our tagline is "Get in your section." We are promoting "Get in your section." And why are we promoting this? It is not just about the competition. It's about showcasing the different disciplines that are within cycling. So cycling is not just on the track. We also have road cycling, we have BMX cycling, we have the trails, mountain bike. So you can choose which section you want to get into. You can choose, I want to go onto the track, I want to go on the road, or I want to go on the trails. Anywhere that is comfortable for you, that's where we want to promote, and that's how we can encourage. A lot of people are afraid of the roads, so there's other options. You could go into the trails, you could do mountain biking. So there are options for anyone who wants that. And also, we promote, as I said, healthy lifestyle. So we do have opportunities where we host events just for persons who just want to ride for fitness sake.
Yes.
You don't have to compete. It's all about that.
Well, Runa, before we wrap up, just give us a reminder for those of us who may want to be a part of this event, want to attend.
So, of course, the event will be held on April 3rd to the 5th, 2026. On the 3rd of April, we will be at Skinner Park, San Fernando, on the Ian Atlee cycle track from 5 p.m. And on the 4th and 5th, we will be at Couva, the National Cycling Velodrome, at 5 p.m. each day.
All right. Thank you, Rowena. And we're looking forward to seeing all the highlights coming out of that. Well, the time just about 7:37. We also have to say a very happy birthday to our very own TTT's very own Sunil Lala. We wish you all the best from the Trinidad and Tobago Today team. And, we hope you have a wonderful year ahead, full of health and happiness. Well, when we come back, we join Shamla Miraj with Redefining Normal on Trinidad and Tobago Today. Stick around.
Cycling is exciting because it is for everyone. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need to be a racer. You don't need fancy gear. All you need is your bike and your helmet. Cycling has given me freedom. It has given me fitness. It has given me new friendships and new family. It's about enjoying the ride, no matter your age, your skill, or even your size. So come join us at the Easter Grand Prix, April 3rd to 5th, 2026 at Skinner Park, San Fernando, and the Cycling Velodrome in Vancouver. So whether you're racing or just riding, there is a place for you. See you there.
Introducing the new Sun Mix Nut Bar. Available in 3 delicious flavors: granola raisin nut, almond cranberry crunch, and coconut almond crisp. All packed on a rich bed of dark chocolate.
Taste the good life, snack right. Taste the good life anytime. Good life. Sun Mix.
Sunshine Snacks Sun Mix Nut Bar. Taste the good life.
Greetings, hello to you there, and welcome to the CZIT National Secondary Schools Climate Quiz. I'm your host, Sachin Ramsubag, and I am pleased to be part of this great initiative.
Coming up, another show-stopping performance from the Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra as Antigua and Barbuda got ready for its own fiesta of color and energy. New ideas for Tobago tourism delivered at the Youth Congress. This highly rated property fits in perfectly with the vacation offerings of St. Kitts and Nevis, where the future of travel was laid out. It's Caribbean Passport TV on TTT.
Your news, anytime, anywhere. TTT News brings you the facts that matter most, on air and online. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
This Wednesday, on Woman Power Wednesday, we honor a woman whose voice helped shape the spiritual and cultural freedom of Trinidad and Tobago, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, spiritual leader, community builder, and former senator who stood at the forefront of the fight for recognition of the Spiritual Shouter Baptist faith. Through her advocacy, March 30th became Spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day, a historical moment that honored generations who endured persecution for their faith. Her journey is one of courage, conviction, and unwavering service to her people. This Wednesday, discover the story of a woman whose leadership continues to inspire generations. Woman Power Wednesday, celebrating the strength, resilience, and legacy of our women. Only on TTT.
Up for this exciting challenge and confident about your business? If you are, the 10-20 feature is just what you need. It's where you give your customers 10 reasons in 20 seconds why they should shop by you. This fun-filled feature will be captured, packaged, and aired on television and promoted on social media simultaneously. Small, medium, and large businesses call or WhatsApp 764-3378 or 313-4215. Let's feature your business. 1020 with Junior K. It's affordable, effective, and fun.
This March, we observe Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, marking 20 years of raising awareness, promoting inclusion, and of course, celebrating the strength of those who live with CP. In this special segment, Redefining Normal, our host Shamla Maraj leads an insightful conversation on cerebral palsy awareness, joined by neurologist Dr. Nicholas Maraj. And together, they explore the realities, challenges, and triumphs of life with CP, shifting perspectives and inspiring change.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Redefining Normal. Do you know that what we do in our early life helps us later on? And this is more prevalent with persons who are living with a physical disability, such as cerebral palsy. So today, I want to explore things that children can do so they would live a good, better adulthood. So I have Dr. Nicholas Maraj, who is a neurologist, here to talk about early intervention. So good morning, Dr. Nicholas. How are you doing?
Hi, pleasant good morning, Shamla. So lovely to be here. Thank you so very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure, Dr. Nicholas. So, Dr. Maharaj, what is cerebral palsy and what causes it?
All right, so let's start simple. CP or cerebral palsy is a condition that affects a child's movement, muscle control, and posture. Usually happens because of an injury to the developing brain, either during pregnancy, around the time of birth, or shortly after that. And one really important thing to understand is that cerebral palsy is not progressive. That is, it doesn't worsen over time. However, the way that it affects a child can change as the child gets older. And more importantly than that, it's not necessarily something that the parents cause. Lots of them carry guilt, and a lot of them shouldn't. And in most cases, it's not very preventable.
Agreed. So what are the early signs in babies that might indicate they have CP?
So I kind of tell parents to look out for the milestones. First few months, you might notice poor head control, stiffness. Sometimes the opposite, they might feel floppy. Difficulty feeding might be a clue. Around like the 6-month mark, babies should be rolling around, engaging, interacting. And if that's not happening, is maybe with some questions. From the 9 to 12-month time period, we expect them to be sitting up, starting to move, maybe trying to crawl. And a really, really early red flag is early hand preference. If before the age of 1, a child is using more one hand than the other, that could suggest weakness on the side that they aren't using. As they get older, delayed crawling, delayed walking on the toes, or uneven movement could be some things. So these are some of the milestones to look out for. And if you're missing these, that should warrant some level of caution and concern.
That happened to me. When a child isn't meeting development milestone, how long should a parent wait before seeking advice?
Don't wait. Don't wait at all. That's the whole point of this conversation. So start with your pediatrician or like a qualified other medical practitioner to get early assessment. Sometimes it might just be nothing or might not be anything serious, and that's good. But if it is something, you gain in time, and when you have time, you could intervene. So don't wait for a formal diagnosis to begin intervention. If there's a delay, we could start the therapy.
Definitely, I agree. So how critical is early intervention, and what type of therapies or support can make a difference in the early years of a child?
Intervention is very practical and very hands-on. The core types of therapy are physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. Physical therapy helps with movement, strength, posture, and occupational therapy kind of helps with everyday functioning, grasping, feeding, playing type of things. And speech therapy is important for communication and swallowing. Some cases, we could use medications to help with muscle stiffness, and sometimes even assistive devices, such as the one that you're sitting in right now, can help support development. One of the most important things, as well as parents, you really need to have involved active parents, because therapy doesn't happen just in clinic with the therapist or with the medications. It's happening every day at home. And simple, consistent exercises makes massive differences over time.
And just speaking from experience, I would say, like, for example, not just having the assistive devices like having a wheelchair, is how you structure the wheelchair for that individual. Because from my experience, just saying from my experience, as a child, my posture damaged because of the wheelchair. I used to sit in, and now I'm paying for it, literally. So it's a whole it's a whole ecosystem you have to deal with when dealing with a child with CP, and it requires really plenty knowledge, reading, and also patience. So once a concern is raised, what does the process look like from the doctor's visit to getting support in place?
So with patients with like mild symptoms could go on to live relatively completely independent lives. Others might have a bit more challenges but achieve meaningful improvements, and these are the key thing is like early important maximizes potential, because the brain is still developing. There's a lot of neuroplasticity. And in Trinidad we have still skilled pediatricians, physiotherapists, as well as therapists who are doing a lot of excellent work. We have a whole bunch of neurologists that are very active in trying to assist patients, families, as well as the therapists in identifying what they need to do to try and achieve the milestones that necessary, and help where there's a bit of a dysfunction to develop strategies how to kind of accommodate for that.
So for viewers who don't know about CP, right? It shows different in everyone. Each individual who has CP is very different, right? For example, I move a lot, but there are some people with CP who is very stationary and dense, and there are others who could walk, right? So what causes that? Because I know it's the brain, and it's very technical with those brain damage.
Because it all depends on where the brain has become injured in the process. So the frontal part of the brain is a bit more responsible for mobility. There's a part of the brain that's important for planning and coordinating movement called the basal ganglia. So that could be affected, causing some of your type of symptoms where you have the athertotic ringing type of hypermobile issues. When the brain doesn't be able to send the signals, sometimes the muscles can become super stiff, and you can have the stiffness type of cerebral palsy. And you can have it being mildly affected, more moderately affected, or very severely affected, as the case may be. But the whole important thing is early understanding, early identification can help find early intervention and help reduce the risk of long-term challenges.
So for parents who now are being introduced, to their child and having CP, they may be frightened. What can you tell them about this and accepting the process and understanding their child?
The first thing to make sure and explain to them is that, one, this is not their fault. A lot of them just carry so much guilt, and you see this racking up a lot in parents. So you need to try and help alleviate that stress off of them, so that they could put a lot more effort into taking care and providing the necessary support services for their kids. Yes, there are some challenges: access, cost, availability of these support services, but there are options for the north, south, east, and west parts of Trinidad, and even and also in Tobago. Sorry, can't leave out Tobago. And even where access is limited, home guided therapies could still be very effective. Things that you could find on YouTube, things that the printouts that the physiotherapists and speech therapists and occupational therapists give you to practice at home. Those are really, really, really important. Really important.
I agree with that. And how can early treatment help reduce and prevent challenges like posture alignment issues later on in life?
Yeah, so when earlier intervention can help support the muscle strength, provide the necessary mind-body connections that comes with physical therapy, occupational therapy, to be able to get these muscles stronger, get them more coordinated with each other, reduce the risk of fatigue, tension on the muscles, allow certain medications can be useful to ease that stiffness also. And then patients could learn techniques to help offset some of the muscle strength issues and be able to accommodate with what other natural strengths that haven't been affected by the cerebral palsy itself.
Definitely. And in closing, what would you say to adults with TP, in terms of maintaining what they have right now, in terms of some, as you mentioned, it's expensive, right? Some don't have access to get to the physiotherapist, doctor, and so on. What can they do at home, to support in terms of posture, muscle mass, keeping of muscle mass, and so on?
The good thing is we have such good access to the internet and online resources such as YouTube to be able to just look up what sorts of home exercises, home physiotherapy options are available. That's really, really important. In the age of telemedicine, where you can have a physical interaction with your physiotherapist, where they're not based in your home, but you can have that interaction with them online. That could really, really help access to patients who live in more remote regions, because as you know, cerebral palsy does make it difficult for mobility and in terms of challenges to get to or from clinic. So early detection could make all the difference.
Definitely. So, Dr. Maharaj, I would like to always say thank you so much for coming and imparting your professional knowledge on, for us. It's really eye-opening. There are many things that we discuss, and I know, it's stayed with me in terms of knowledge. So thank you, and I know it does for the audience as well. So thank you so much as always, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you so very much, Shamla. All the best, TNT. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. And guys, with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this week's segment of Redefining Normal. As I always say, be good, do good. Bye, everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Shamla Maraj, with Redefining Normal. Now, cerebral palsy isn't something that we just talk about on air. It's in your families, in your homes, your friends. And behind every diagnosis is a person full of strength and personality and so much love. And of course, there are challenges. But of course, as well, there's just resilience, joy, and all the moments that we enjoy with the people that we love. So from our family to yours as well, if you are dealing with that, if you're living with someone with cerebral palsy, just continue to just surround them with so much love. Also, happy birthday once again to Sunil Lala, our very own from TTT. For all the stories that you say here and more, check us out at TTT Live online. If you want to email us to get on the show, it's tttoday@ttt.co.tt. That's it for today. For Trinidad and Tobago Today carries up next with the major network news. See you tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
This Wednesday on Woman Power Wednesday, we honor a woman whose voice helped shape the spiritual and cultural freedom of Trinidad and Tobago. Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, spiritual leader, community builder, and former senator who stood at the forefront of the fight for recognition of the spiritual Shouter Baptist faith. Through her advocacy, March 30th became Spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day, a historical moment that honored generations who endured persecution for their faith. Her journey is one of courage, conviction, and unwavering service to her people. This Wednesday, discover the story of a woman whose leadership continues to inspire generations. Woman Power Wednesday, celebrating the strength, resilience, and legacy of our women. Only on TTT.
Hey, up for this exciting challenge and confident about your business? If you are, the 1020 feature is just what we do. It's where you give your customers 10 reasons in 20 seconds why they should shop by you. This fun-filled feature will be captured, packaged, and aired on television and promoted on social media simultaneously. Small, medium, and large businesses call or WhatsApp 764-3378 or 313-4215. Let's feature your business. 1020 with Junior K. It's affordable, effective, and fun.
When we decided to get married, and when we did eventually get married, my love for you had to evolve. Because now that we are living together, I had to learn how to love you. Because before I was in love with the Leah who I saw when we went on dates. The Leah who I saw when we spent weekends together. The Leah who I saw on the good times, the face of you. Now I had to love the you who I didn't see, the 80% of you that I wasn't accustomed to.
Right, the Leah having a bad day.
The Leah having a bad day. The Leah with a silk scarf on her head. The Leah who's not feeling well. The Leah who's emotional about something, who's upset about something. The Leah who's upset about work, who's insecure about something. All of those things do not come to play while we were dating.
Not really in its fullness.
Not in its fullness. So as soon as we took it to covenant, that is where the whole empathy and compassion side of things came for me. And it grew our love to the point where my love for you became, how could I evolve to help this relationship?
Right. So selfless.
Selfless. We start getting into the selfless love.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. A body of a man who was reported missing on Friday has been recovered by members of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard. In a statement, it notes that recovery operations took place at approximately 5:43 on Monday evening in waters off Five Islands. The Coast Guard says it responded to reports that a body was seen floating there. It adds that the man's vessel was found adrift in the same area. The Coast Guard says the matter was handed over to the relevant authorities for further investigations. In other news, concerns are being raised about unregistered drugs entering Trinidad and Tobago, with the Pharmacy Board warning that stronger oversight and enforcement may be needed to protect public health. The issue was highlighted by newly elected President of the Pharmacy Board, Sanjay Mohammed, who says while systems exist to regulate medication, gaps remain when it comes to drugs entering our country outside of approved channels. Mr. Mohammed explained that responsibility for drug registration falls under the Chemistry, Food and Drugs Division, but stressed that the board is stepping up its role in ensuring pharmacies adhere strictly to regulations. He is also warning the public to be mindful of where they access medication, noting that not all sources are legitimate.
Coming into the country that are not registered, and the Pharmacy Board is looking at that with a keen eye.
The board is also turning its attention to establishments operating outside of the legal framework, with plans to increase enforcement in the sector. The board president says the goal is to strengthen public confidence and ensure that all medications being accessed locally meet the required safety standards. In other news, India is moving to strengthen deeper, more practical partnerships with Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean. That's according to the High Commissioner of India to Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Pradeep Singh Rajpurohit, who spoke at a high-level forum on Monday evening. The event was hosted by the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus in collaboration with the High Commission of India and examined how recent diplomatic engagements can translate into stronger cooperation in trade, education, technology, and development.
Purpose of this discussion is that what are the key areas of collaboration, and yes, there is some kind of discussion going on, but what we can do further. Examples: digital transformation. We have signed agreement for launching the UPI, the digital payment platform, and I'm confident that this is coming up in near future in Trinidad and Tobago.
He said open academic discussions can help generate fresh ideas beyond traditional government channels. The High Commissioner added that governments and embassies alone cannot drive progress.
This is where we seek fresh ideas, new themes, new thinking on how we can bring together, how youngsters in Trinidad and Tobago can benefit out of India's vibrant startup ecosystem. India has recently signed a number of free trade agreements with a lot of countries. How this can synergize with your trade requirements and the current level of economic priorities.
The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service says it is fast-tracking upgrades to its weather monitoring and observation technology. Acting Director Shakir Beg provided the update on Monday as the agency marked World Meteorological Day 2026, underscoring the vital importance of reliable weather observations in delivering accurate forecasts and timely early warnings to the public.
Every observation that we make, whether from the surface observations or from what you would have seen with respect to the release of the weather balloon, it observes the upper atmosphere, whether it's from the weather radars, the satellite, they all represent a vital piece of the puzzle in understanding our dynamic atmosphere.
To strengthen that capability, Mr. Beg said the Met Service is upgrading its infrastructure and investing in more advanced technology to better monitor increasingly unpredictable weather patterns.
We are actively pursuing, with full support of our Parliamentary Secretary and our ministers and indeed the Government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the installation of an X-band weather radar system to enhance our ability to observe high-resolution, short-range monitoring, particularly in intense rainfall events.
In some sport now, PowerGen is the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board's 30-over champions after commanding